Hello guys, welcome back to Samspiration. Today I'm going to be talking about learning. In life we all get to learn, and when we are kids until we grow up we have a learning process, and when we are young we get to receive information from our parents. Therefore those information are selected by our parents or our whoever it's our responsible, whoever take care of us. However, once we start growing we get to select our own information, so when you're young they teach you all of those value and all of those information that you get to learn, and sometimes it can be it's out of your will actually, because your parents want you to know those things and they just teach you that, because they believe they love you and this is good for you. And sometimes they're gonna direct you to whatever they think is good for you, even though once you grow up it might not be good for you because it's not what you really love or it's not maybe your personality. So the learning process is something that happened to us since the first day that we're born until we die. However, you can decide what to learn once you get to a certain age, so maybe it's when you're 18 and then you get to maybe start living by yourself. I remember when I was in my parents' house, they usually say that if you don't go to school you don't get to eat or you don't get to live here. Why? Because as long as I'm the one who's paying for you to eat, you gotta learn, you gotta go to school and do the things that I want you to do. Maybe you have an option of picking your major. However, you gotta finish it. You gotta go to school. But the thing is, when you start growing, you start living according to your own term. You then decide what do you want to learn, because now it's what we call being independent. So you don't belong, you don't depend. Actually, you still belong to your parents, in terms of they are the one who bring you to life. However, you don't depend on them because you live by yourself. Now you are growing as an adult. And so being an adult, you have some decision of what you want to learn and how it's gonna impact your life. So everything that you learned when you were young was you learn it because your parents decide so you can learn it, and sometimes you maybe enjoy it, but then once you become an adult you decide, do I still want to learn? So we have a young guy who went to high school, and then he get to his college and he decide, look, I'm gonna drop out of school, I don't want to go to school no more, I'm gonna go to start my business, or I'm gonna go to work in the warehouse because that's what I see myself. So as a parent, I'm not a parent yet, but as a parent, the process of the duty of my part is to make sure I teach you everything that I know. And everything that I know are the things that I learned. So if I don't learn anything, then you don't get to enjoy the knowledge that I have. But in order for me to teach you, those things that I know, I have to learn it too, because I can only give what I get and I can only keep what I already got. How do you decide what to learn, or maybe which age do you get to learn whatever you want to learn? As soon as you become independent, if you become independent, you get to learn whatever you want, because now you don't live according to other people's terms, but you're living according to your own terms. At that point, nobody is a victim no more. At that point, you own yourself accountable. You own yourself responsible, because your response becomes your responsibility. So you get to decide, I'm gonna learn technology, I'm gonna learn PTA, physical therapy assistant, or I'm gonna learn PT, physical therapy. So at that time you start deciding. Therefore, in order for me to learn PT, I have to learn kinesiology. I have to learn, all of those classes that I'm gonna learn in order for me to become a PT. And if I want to learn architecture, this is what I also have to do. You learn what you decide, and everything that you know, it's because you decide to learn it. Therefore, everything that you don't know, it's also because you decide not to learn it. Can you learn everything? Yes, you can. Should you learn everything? No. So then you start learning things that you think it is important, or it is purposeful for your goal. Because everything that you don't learn, you can hire somebody to do it for you. So let's talk about a mechanic. If I have a problem in my car, I remember, actually, let me use my example. One time I had a problem in my car. My car had a starter problem, a starting problem. I couldn't start it. I thought it was a battery. I went and I bought a new battery. Nothing was working, And then I called my friend. He came in less than an hour. I think he did that in 5 minutes. He started my car. So what is the difference between me that waited like almost 1.5 hours versus him who just did it in 5 minutes? It's one thing, knowledge. So knowledge is what can squeeze the time, while ignorance is what can expand the time. So you're losing time when you are ignorant. But the more you know, the less ignorant you become, even though you can learn everything. So the difference between him and I was that I was ignorant. So I started even talking to my car. What are you doing this to me? Please start, and I can't start. But when he came, he doesn't have to pray. He has just to put the knowledge in practice. This is why we learn, because the more I learn, the more I know, and the more I know, the more I can teach. And the more I can teach, the more my kids can learn the things that I learn, and they can even master it. This is why knowledge or learning, it's important. I like Jim Quick would say, if knowledge is power, then learning is superpower. Your superpower is the ability to put yourself in the room learning something. Always try to learn. The difference between the people who like to learn and the people who don't like to learn. The people who like to learn, they usually learn for the entire life. They keep learning until they die. And usually those people become financially free, and they have a lot of things that are going on in their life. They are happier, they're wiser, and they're really smart. But there's other people who doesn't learn, who sometimes they learn, but once they reach the goal, the potential goal, diploma, they stop learning. So you're gonna have this guy who have a bachelor degree that went to school, and after the bachelor degree, that never read any book, because he start working, life is good, he has his wife and his life, he got his mortgage and all of that, life is just good, And I can tell you this is because everybody cannot be like everybody, and everybody do not have the same calling. Some people will live to the bachelor degree and die without reading any book, because there is the goal for them. But some other, I believe one of my audience, not the other you, the you one, you're the one who really think that I should learn not only for myself, but also for the generation coming, the coming generation. And this video is to you. The video is for you to learn that you need some time to learn for the next generation so you can pass it on. You need to learn, because learning is superpower, while knowledge is power. So learning is really important for us, because I like one of my favorite books that say, my people perish because of lack of knowledge.